Welcome to today's DNA. We will discuss 5 important articles from various newspapers, for example, The Hindu and Indian Express. First 4 articles are prelims oriented and fifth article is related to the mains. First article is on Article 21 related to the rights of the PWDs. Second is on the first monthly labor force survey conducted by MOSPI. Third is on the LUPEX mission of the NASA as well as the ZAZA. Fourth is the IAEA. Fifth article is related to the presidential reference as mentioned in Article 143 of Indian Constitution. Thank you. Now, first article is related to Article 21 of Indian Constitution. So, we might be knowing that when this Article 21 was drafted, the digital thing was not there, right? But with the advent of the IT in India, most of the things has been digitalized. So, accordingly, it is impacting the fundamental right of individual citizens. And in this light only, the Supreme Court has directed revision of KYC digital norms, right? You might be knowing, know your customer, KYC. You should have also done for the banks or other purposes, or for that matter for the Aadhaar. Okay? That's why we are covering it, and it will come into GS paper 2, and it is related to fundamental right and social issues as well, right? So, basically this entire article is related to the right of the persons with disability, or we call Divyangjan person, right? So, let us try to understand what happened. So, recently the Supreme Court has directed revision of KYC digital norms to ensure accessibility and of person with disability. So, basically there are two errors that we are facing. One is inclusion error or second is the exclusion error. So, Supreme Court is talking about the exclusion error to the PWD candidates, those who are having, for example, don't have the hands, or those who don't have the eyes. So, in that case, how this iris scan will be done? If iris scan is not done, many benefits are denied, or for that matter, if someone is not having the hands, how he or she will be able to use the signature for the verification purposes, right? These are the aspect Supreme Court raised, right? And relying on the Article 14, 15 and 21 as well as Article 31, the court affirmed that the digital access is irreseparable from the right to life and liberty. Means digital access is sine qua non to any person, including the person with the disabilities, right? So, what Supreme Court is trying to do, they are trying to gap this digital divide, right? Digital divide between person, normal person, and a person with special abilities, right? What are the cases related to the persons with disability and their right? So, there is a famous case, Rajiv Ratori versus Union of India in 2024, wherein Supreme Court ruled that accessibility is central to the right of life, dignity, freedom of movement under Article 21. And you might have known Accessible India campaign, Sugamya Bharat Abhiyan. It is also one of the contour of what this ruling only, and to make our infrastructure accessible to whom? To person with the disability. Also, during the COVID-19 as well, we have seen Supreme Court coming out with the guideline to ensure there is no exclusion error for any person who is suffering from the disabilities. Now, what are the laws which safeguards right of the physically disabled person or specially able person or Divyangjan? First is the preamble, second is the fundamental right as well as the directive principle. Alongside the disabilities statute obligate the state to adopt law, policies and infrastructure that allows persons with the physical disabilities to exercise their right at par with others, right? Accordingly, the Right of Physically Disabled Act 2016 was enacted. It is based on the social barrier approach that defines disability as arising from the impairment along with the physical, mental, intellectual, social and psychosocial obstacle which make full participation of an individual in society very difficult, right? Also, section 42 of RPWD Act 2016 mandated that government measures to ensure that all audio, print and electronic media are accessible to everyone, right? So, in case you have visited any monument, you might have seen there is a special audio tool for accessibility, or in case you have visited metro, there is a special line for the persons with the disabilities, right? Now, what are the laws which deals with the know your customer or KYC? First is the Prevention of Money Laundering Act 2002. Second is the RBI's 26th Master Direction on KYC rules, which prescribes a customer due diligence framework via clause 18, right? So, there are two guidelines related to it. Now, how KYC norms affect persons with disabilities? So, I have already mentioned there is a exclusion error, right? For example, if someone is not having the eyes in functional state, iris scan is not possible, or someone having amputated hand, so the thumb impression is not possible. So, these are the impairment that need to be worked upon. These are the gaps that need to be filled by the institution doing the KYC norm, so that there should not be any exclusion of any person. Now, let us scan through the questions given in the screen. Hope you will be able to solve it. Second topic is very important and interesting topic. It is related to the unemployment data, and our first monthly level 4 survey was released. It is overlapping with the GS paper 3 and economy, right? So, what is the news all about? Let us try to understand. So, it says that unemployment rate in current weekly status, that we call CWS, in India among the person of age 15 and above was 5.1%. What was the employment rate? It was 5.1%, very important for the prelims as well as for the mains purposes, right? And it is based on the first monthly bulletin of the periodic labor force survey, that we call PLFS data, which is released by the MOSPI, that is the Ministry of Statistics Program and Implementation. Or the method used is revamped one. How it is revamped, we will see in next few minutes, right? Now, what are the key aspect of this data? So, if we say the male versus female unemployment rate, so males are unemployed higher than the females. The rate of male unemployment is what? 5.2%. At the same time, it is slightly better for the female, that is standing for the 5%. Now, if you discuss rural versus urban unemployment, again you will have to see that rural unemployment rate is for all person in age was 4.5%, while for the urban it is 6.5%. Here the urban employment is more than the rural employment, that is the key statement. Also, among the urban employment rate, females between 15 and 19 years was 23.7%, very high, and the labor force participation rate in current weekly status among person of age 15 year and above was 55.6% during this period. At the same time, labor force participation rate in rural areas was 58%, right? And the worker population ratio was around 55.4%. These are data very important, right? We will have to understand from the data point of view, right? Now, we will have to see a few related terms related to the employment and other things. So, what is the meaning of the unemployment rate? So, unemployment rate simply means it is the percentage of working age people, that is 15 year and above, who are demanding work but not able to get a job. For example, if someone of age 15 is demanding the job of anything, but it is not available in the market, what will be known as, we will call it unemployment rate. And here both demands and supply are important. Second is how the calculation of unemployment rate is done. It is very important, try to understand it. It is calculated by looking at all the people of the working age, that is 15 plus, who are demanding work, then finding out what percentage of them are unable to land a job. For example, unemployed upon labor force multiplied by 100, whatever the data, it is known as the unemployment rate in any economy, right? Next is labor force participation rate, that in short we call LFPR, right? What is it? So, basically it is underlying size of the labor force, that is the percentage of working age population demanding work itself varies over the time and measured by the labor force participation rate. It is defined as a percentage of person in the labor force in the population, that is number of person employed plus number of employed person divided by total population multiplied by 100. This is the labor force participation rate of an economy. Next is the workers population ratio. It is the number of employed person upon number of total population multiplied by 100. So, these are the data, right. Now, as we discuss about what is different in this labor force participant rate. So, how it is different? So, let us try to understand. So, to estimate the key employment and unemployment indicators like LFPR or worker population WPR or unemployment rate on a monthly basis for the rural and urban area at all India level in the current weekly status. This is very important. It is done for the first time. Second is to extend the coverage of quarterly result of PLFS to rural areas and thereby producing quarterly estimate of the country level and for major status in the current weekly status, right. It is also important, and to estimate important employment and unemployment indicator in both usual status as well as in CWS in rural as well as the urban area are important. That is why this is quite different from the existing norms, right. This is the information already given in the PPT, you can scan through it. Now, let us try to solve the question using the data which is given in the content. Next news is on the ISRO's new launch. So, ISRO have recently completed its century of the launch 100. Now, this is its 101th launch and the syllabus covers is GS paper 3 science and tech. So, what is happening? So, ISRO and JAXA, that is the Japanese space agency, jointly conducted the third face-to-face technical interface meeting for lunar polar exploration, that is the LUPEX mission. What is it? So, LUPEX mission. What is LUPEX mission? So, it is lunar polar exploration mission, right. So, let us try to understand more about the news. So, basically what we are doing, ISRO and Japanese agency will jointly conduct the third face-to-face technical interface meeting, that is called TIM3, technical interface meeting 3 for the Chandrayaan 5 mission, right, at the headquarters of the ISRO, wherein we will be doing the various experiment and the satellite which we are supposed to launch, which will be an Earth observation satellite, of which the work mainly lies with what? Observing the Earth for various weather changes or monitoring any change pertaining to Earth, and generally they lie into the LEO, that is the low Earth orbit, right. And it is supposed to be equipped with C-band synthetic aperture radar, right, C-band synthetic aperture radar. So, what is C-band? C-band refers to the specific range of radio frequencies typically at 4 to 8 gigahertz, right. And what is SIR? So, SIR is a type of active data collection method wherein an instrument sends out a pulse of energy and then records the amount of that energy reflected back when it interacts with the Earth. For example, we will send some energy, when it is back to the Earth, we will measure the energy, that is known as the SR method. Try to recall the Jadoo, right, and how this experiment over there, it is somehow similar to the SR, that is synthetic aperture radar, right. Now, let us try to understand what are the various lunar mission of the ISRO and what is the importance. So, we have seen the Chandrayaan 1 mission, it was launched back in 2008. Second is the Chandrayaan 2 launch in 2019, it was considered successful one because it tried to send high resolution images of the lunar, right. Second was the Chandrayaan 3 mission, which was considered almost 98% success, right, having Vikram and Aditya both things, right. And now we will launch Chandrayaan 4 and Chandrayaan 5 mission, which will explore more on the part of the moon, right. So, we have already seen, we will see the Chandrayaan 4 mission, which is supposed to be launched by 2027 to collect and return lunar samples. Additionally, this was also working on the Gaganyaan mission, that will be India's manned space mission, right, when we will be sending 2 persons into the space for the short period of the time. Now, what about the Chandrayaan 5 or LUPEX mission? So, following the legacy of Chandrayaan 1, 2 and Chandrayaan 3 And forthcoming Chandrayaan 4, that will be the India's first lunar sample return mission. The Chandrayaan 5 mission will be the 5th mission in the Chandrayaan series of lunar mission in collaboration with what? Japanese agency. And what will the objective of this Chandrayaan 5 mission? To study the lunar volatile material, any material that is volatile in lunar surface, including lunar water and water ice, both on the lunar surface as well as the subsurfaces in the vicinity of permanently shadows region of the lunar south pole. So that is the, let us suppose, north pole of the lunar, that is the south pole of the lunar. In this area we will try to explore the various aspect of the lunar mission, and we will send back the data back to the earth in association with the Japanese agency, right. So there are other information about the Chandrayaan 5, nitty-gritty of which is not that important since it is still in the formation phase, but we will to understand that it will be a joint mission wherein few component will be made by the ISRO and few component will be made by whom? The Japanese agency, right. For example, we will use the Japanese rocket H3, okay, this mission, and we will be using two important basically instrument that we call mass spectrometer as well as the neutron spectrometer. So spectrometry is an art wherein we use basically an instrument to calculate the energy and mass of a sample. And one of the component of spectrometry is mass spectrometry, wherein we use or we measure the mass to charge ratio. At the same time we will also use neutron spectrometer which will designated to detect the neutron in different energy band. So these are two instruments that will be attached with the lunar 5 mission or Chandrayaan 5 mission or LUPEX mission, right. Hope things are clear to you. Just try to solve the following question which you can see in the screen. Hope you will be able to solve it. Next is on the IAEA. So you might have heard about various rumors that the Kirana Hills of the Pakistan was damaged by the Indian Air Forces. It is rumored, it is not confirmed yet by our government, and there are rumors that various agencies including one of the Egyptian plane is there in the Pakistan with the boron just to suppress any radioactivity leak from these areas. However, there is no confirmation of all these things. Accordingly, our Raksha Mantri ji has said that that Pak nuclear arsenal must be under watch, and the watchdog for it is known as what? IAEA. And this news will come into GS paper 2, GS international institution, as well as it can be part of what? Our security aspect, right. You can use it overlappingly. What is the news all about? So Defence Minister Rajnath Singh said that irresponsible conduct of Pakistan and question the security of the nuclear weapons of the Pakistan, right. Because Pakistan is basically not run by any democratic government, and there are high chances that it can fall under the non-state actors which are not that responsible, right. That is why there are concerns. Now that is why we will have to understand who will conduct all these things. That is the IAEA, that is International Atomic Energy Agency, which look for such kind of the scenario. So what is IAEA all about? It is also known as the Atom for Peace and Development Organization, which is established in 1957, and the concept was conceptualized on 23rd of October 1956, right. But 1 year later it came into the picture, that is in 1957. Initiative of the IAEA or creation of IAEA was based on 1953 Atom for Peace proposal by the US President Eisenhower, right. Very important information. Headquarter of IAEA stands at Vienna, that is in Austria, right. And nature of this IAEA is autonomous organization within the UN system. They come under what? UN, but they are autonomous in itself, right. What is it reports to UN General Assembly as well as UN Security Council. Both are the reporting agency of IAEA, and current membership lies is like 180 countries, and in 2005 IAEA was awarded with the Nobel Peace Prize. Now let us go through the core function of IAEA. So basically what is the work of IAEA? So first is the scientific collaboration, second is the peaceful uses of the nuclear energy, Third is to look for the non-proliferation. For example, it should not fall into the irresponsible hands, right? For there are multiple treaties that one has to sign. Next is the safeguard of the such kind of the instrument or the bombs or otherwise. Next is the technical cooperation between the member country. There are 180 member country. We have to do the technical cooperation. Next is the nuclear safety. In case of any disaster, the core work of IAEA is to look for such kind of the disaster and look for the nuclear safety. Also, in case of any emergency, they will have to go back to the to the affected site and look for the various measurement to curb the radiation. This is the core work of the IAEA. Now, safeguards and protocol. So, IAEA applies safeguard to ensure nuclear material is not diverted for military purposes, especially for the nuclear weapons. For example, we call dual use technology, right? What we call dual use technology. For example, a nuclear weapon can be used for the civilian purposes to generate energy, as well as it can be used to make bomb as well. When it is in control method, it can be used for the energy generation. When it is in uncontrolled method, it can be used for the bomb. And bomb are of two type basically. One is the tactical weapons, very low yield weapon. Second is the strategic weapon, which carry high payload, right? So, Pakistan claims to carry tactical weapon, and in case of any issue, they threat also India to use these tactical weapon because they will be low impact, and they are basically designed to impact our strike core. That is one of the army's strike core. It is there, right? Now, what are the core function? We will see. These are the function we have seen. Core function are first CSA, that is it is required under Article 3 of Non-Proliferation Treaty for the non-nuclear weapon state, right. Second is mandate inspection, monitoring and reporting to the all nuclear metal, right. Also, there are additional protocol, which is an legal instrument that complements the comprehensive safeguard agreement. CSA को ये complement करती है. It also grants IAEA enhanced access to sites, facilities, information related to the nuclear fuel cycle. You might seen the IAEA people visiting Iran, right? You have seen for the multiple time the picture of those. So, it is the work of IAEA. Also, it is voluntary but widely adopted practices, and it helps IAEA to detect undeclared nuclear activities, right? Very important function. What other function? The small quantity protocol is also there, which is a simplified safeguard agreement for the state with very limited nuclear material and activities. It may be suspended or modified if the state develops a nuclear program. For example, XYZ state is supposed to carry a small quantity of nuclear material, fissile material, but if they are using it for other than the nuclear energy purposes, it can be suspended. Next is INF-C IRC or 66 type agreement, which is a facility specific agreement applied to non-NPT state like India, Pakistan and Israel. We have not signed this NPT agreement, that is why it is applied to us. India follows this safeguard for civilian facilities under the separation plan of 2006. Very important information we will have to understand. Now, let us try to understand the India and the IAEA's relation. So, India is a founding member of IAEA. Since 1957 we are member of this organization, but we are not a signatory of non-proliferation treaty, hence we are not bonded by CSA. That is the CSA we have already seen, the comprehensive safeguard agreement. We are not bonded by it, right. India signed an India specific safeguard agreement in 2008 under the Indo-US nuclear deal or 123 agreement that we call, and it also signed additional protocol 2019 on voluntary basis. These are our function. We are quite responsible state, hence we are always regarded by the IAEA as a responsible nuclear state. Now, let us try to understand the MCQ based on this topic. Hope you will be able to solve it. There are two MCQs, both are related to the same topic. It both came into the PYQ. So, you are I believe you will be able to solve both the questions. Next topic is related to the mains one. So, basically what happened? So, President of India Srimati Draupadi Murmu has sent invoked basically Article 143 which is basically an advice from the Supreme Court on various matter of the constitution, and it's a very evolving topic, very interesting topic as well, and that's why it's a matter of debate, right. So I will give you a backdrop. What happened, there was a case of Tamil Nadu government of Tamil Nadu versus governor of the Tamil Nadu case, wherein a few bills were stand pending, and accordingly the Tamil Nadu government tried to seek the intervention of the Supreme Court or judiciary, and Supreme Court used Article 142 which talks about the complete justice, and they passed the bill without the assent of the governor. And because of all these things, there is a basically instability into our governance framework, which is based on three aspects: legislation, judiciary and executive. So work of the legislation to the pass law, right, and work of the judiciary is interpretation of the law or education of any matter, and work of the executive the implementation of it. But with the use of 142, basically the Supreme Court shifted the balance of power in the favor of the judiciary, and that's why now President, who always works in the aid and advice, seeked opinion of the judiciary in terms of use of Article 142 or otherwise. They ask if government or if the judiciary can direct President as well as the governor. So we'll see what are the various things, and let us try to understand the PYQ, why we are reading it. So PYQ says that judicial legislation is antithetical to the doctrine of separation of power. We have already discussed separation of power as envisaged in the Indian Constitution. In this context, justify the filing of large public interest petition that we call PIL, praying for the issuing guardian executive authority. So it is the PYQ. So these kind of the question can be asked in the future as well. Now let us try to understand. We will study first what is Article 20, Article 201, right. Then we will study what is Article 142, we have already discussed. Now we will study what is Article 143, under which Supreme Court, President of India asked for the advisory jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. Following that, we will do a discussion if it is good or bad, followed by the way forward. This will be the flow of the article. So let us try to understand what is Article 200. So basically Article 200 provides that when a bill is passed by any state legislator, it is presented to the governor, and now the ball lies in the hands of the governor. Governor have power to either give the assent to the bill, right, or it can withhold the assent. If it gives assent to the bill, bill become act. If it withhold the assent, it will not become an act. It also return the bill for the reconsideration with a message that why it should be reconsidered. Otherwise, governor can also reserve a bill for the presidential assent, right. And now comes the picture of Article 201. When it is sent to the president assent, either president can give the assent or can withhold the assent, right. Now let us try to understand. If the bill is returned by the governor for reconsideration and legislature passes again without any change, governor is constitutionally bound to give assent. We have seen it. If it is returned, so again if it is signed by the state government, now it is the duty of the governor to sign it, right. Also, government cannot then reserve it for the president reconsideration under Article 200, right. So the use of Article 201 is limited by this clause of Article 200. Also, if the governor reserve a bill for the president's consideration, the enactment of the bill is then dependent on the assent or refusal or assent by the president under Article which one? Article 201 of the Indian Constitution. And what Article 201 says? That the president either can declare his assent or her assent or withhold his or her assent to the bill, right. So instead of following either of two courses, the president may, if the bill is not a money bill, direct the governor to return the bill together with a message to the state legislature for the consideration, and the state legislature shall then reconsider the bill within the 6 months. A timeline is given that within the 6 months the state government have to reconsider the bill sent by the whom? President, for its receipt and if it is again passed, then it shall be presented again to the president for his consideration. Now, in contrast with the power of a governor regarding reconsideration of bill, it is not obligatory for the president to give the assent for the reconsideration of a bill. For example, I will give you a simplification of it. First, governor can give assent, withhold assent, reserve it, or it can be sent to the home president. Now, if it is lies with the president, article 201 is activated, and president have two choice, either give the assent or withhold the assent. Or president can do, it can send it to reconsideration with a message. Now, if the state government again send the bill to the president, president have two power, either it can give the assent or cannot give the assent, right. So, this is the overall flow of a bill, a fate of bill regarding to the any legislator, right. Hope it is clear to you. Now, I have already said that what was the background of it. So, background was that a bill was 10 bills were pending, and accordingly the state of Tamil Nadu went for the Supreme Court for intervention, and Supreme Court used article 142 and directed government to sign the bill within 3 months. Not only that, it itself passed the bill. Now, it is a very important question of the constitutional interpretation that generally it is the governor who signed the bills only become it's the law as per the article 200. How Supreme Court can give the direction to make a bill into the law, right. It is very interesting development. We will have to watch the entire thing. Accordingly, what happened? The constitution article 143 authorizes president to seek the opinion of Supreme Court in of two category of matter. What happened? Now, since the balance of power is shifted towards the judiciary, now it is the executive or legislatures used this article 142, and under which the president, who is the chief executive officer of the country, used article 143. And what article 143 says? It asks for the opinion of the Supreme Court in two case scenario. A is the pre-constitution scenario, second is the post-constitutional scenario. In the pre-constitutional scenario, for example, any agreement, for example, agreement of Sinoli, which was signed between India and Britishers. If Supreme Court being asked by the president to give his opinion, it is binding upon the Supreme Court to give its opinion. However, if it is the post-constitutional matter of the interpretation of the constitution, the president may ask or may not ask. If president is asking, the Supreme Court is not binding to give its opinion. It can give its opinion or it can withhold its opinion. At times it gives its opinion, at times it is silent on opinion as well. And once the opinion of the Supreme Court is basically received by the government, oblique the president, it is not obligatory on the president to accept those recommendations as well. It's a very complicated issue, and that's why very interesting as well, right. That is why we have discussed it in length. I will repeat it. So, what happens in one article 143 is invoked. There are two conditions attached with it. One is the pre-constitutional treaty, second is the post-constitutional treaty, once we have enacted or enacted the constitution. In the pre-constitutional treaty, it is binding on the Supreme Court to give the opinion. However, in the post-constitutional status, it is not binding on the Supreme Court to give the opinion. So, what is if not binding? Because the word says it may give. So, when it is may, it is not obligatory. So, there are two conditions. Supreme Court may give or may not give. If it is giving, it is quite okay. If it is not giving, it is also okay. At times, Supreme Courts give the opinion, at times it not gives. But once the Supreme Court gives the opinion to the president under article 143, it is not obligatory for the president to look for the opinion of the Supreme Court. Now, it is quite discretion of the president to accept it or reject it. Very interesting interpretation of the constitution. Now, what is the basically core issue of it? Core issue is if the Supreme Court is using article 142 to give direction to the governor, who is also a constitutional post, or the president, who is the highest constitutional post of the country, is it constitutionally valid? That is the core issue of the entire debate, right? And accordingly, the president asked opinion of the Supreme Court under Article 143 subclause 1, and 14 point has been raised by the president, who basically works in the aid and advice of the council of the president, because it is the duty of the president to work in aid and advice. What are the 14 point? Let us try to scan one to one. It will give us the better picture of the entire issue. Once it is settled, we will be having a new kind of the scenario in our constitution. What is the first question? First is, what are the constitutional options before a governor? It is related to whom? Governor. When a bill is presented to him under Article 200 of the Constitution of India. So, as of now, we have seen it can give the assent, withhold the assent, or reserve the bill. These are the options. So, they are asking better clarity on the power of the governor pertaining to the bill. Second is that, is the governor bound to act by the aid and advice? The president is bound to work under the aid and advice under Article 74, but governor is not bound to act. So, they are asking if governor is also bound to act in the same manner. Next, in the exercise of constitutional discretion by the governor under Article 200 justicable, means it is the discretion of the governor to give the assent or withhold assent, if it is discretionary or not, or it is obligatory for the governor to give the dissent. It is also very interesting development. Next is provision of Article 361, which provides an absolute bar to the judicial review relation to action to governor under Article 200. So, they are also asking more clarity on Article 361. That's why it's very important, right? Also, can a timeline be imposed and the manner of exercise be prescribed through judicial order for the exercise of power under Article 200 of the governor? Also, it is saying if we can basically curtail the power of the governor under Article 200 as interpreted by the Supreme Court in recent time. Also, is the exercise of constitutional discretion by the president under Article 201 of the Constitution of India is justicable. For example, if they are not giving, if the president can be brought under the court of the law for not following any guideline, right? Also, can a timeline be imposed and the manner of exercise be prescribed through judicial order for the exercise of discretion by the president under Article 201. It is also saying, can president be bounded by the judiciary under Article 201. Also, is the president required to seek advice of Supreme Court by way of reference under Article 143 and to take opinion of Supreme Court when governor reserves a bill for the president assent or otherwise. We have already considered the scenarios. So, now they are asking if in case of the future dispute, if it is applicable for the president to invoke Article 143. Also, next is, are the decision of the governor and the president under Article 20 and 201 justicable as the stays anterior to the law becoming into the act? What happened? Whatever bill was there, it was passed by the whom? Judiciary. So, it is already bill. So, judiciary is supposed to work on the once the bill is enacted or once a bill is become the law. However, at the premature stage, there is a judicial intervention into the issues. That's why they are asking, can a bill also be matter of the question, because it is not signed by the executive. So, how they can take the intervention of the judiciary in such scenario? Also, can the exercise of constitutional power and orders of by the president or the governor be substituted in any manner under Article 142 of the Constitution? They are saying if the Article 142 is unfettered, we can't touch the Article 42, right? Also, is the law made by the state legislator a law enforced without the assent of the governor granted under Article 200 of the Constitution, right? The same thing, if a governor is not signing or assenting to the bill, can it become the law at all, right? Also, under Article 145 subclause 3, it is not mandatory for any bench to first decide as to whether the question involved in the proceeding before it is of such nature which involves substantial question of the law. It simply means for the interpretation of constitution, which we also call substantial question of the law, we need to constitute at least 5 bench judge, right? At the same time, the decisions are given by 2 bench judge. So they are asking to frame a constitutional bench comprising at least 5 members, and once the decision will be taken, only it can be called as a substantial question of the law, which is also known as the interpretation of the constitution. Also, are the powers of the Supreme Court under 142 extend to the issue directions which are inconsistent with the existing substantive or procedural provision of the constitutional law in the force, and does the constitution bar any jurisdiction of the Supreme Court to resolve dispute between the union government and the state government except by the suit under article 133 of the Constitution of India. Very important and interesting development that is going on. So we'll have to understand what is the response of the Supreme Court, since we know that it is not binding on the Supreme Court to give its opinion, but since our news Chief Justice has taken the oath, Justice Gavai, we'll see what is the future outcome of it. Also, it is you will have to understand that somehow it is basically a matter of res intrigira, which simply means if there is no precedent of anything, it is discretion of Supreme Court to decide upon the things. So we will see how things are interpreted by the judiciary, and we believe sooner or later this balance will be basically neutralized in the favor of the public, and it should not be in favor of judiciary or the executive or a legislature, right? It should be balanced only, right? That is all about the balance of the power theory. Now, so basically there are 2 questions, right? What is the question in overall discussion? So if judiciary is doing the judicial activism, and you might be knowing that our judiciary is activist judiciary by the force of the constitution itself, or it is an act of judicial overreach. If judiciary is using the article 142 as a nuclear missile, as rightly said by our vice president. So this is the bigger debate. If you are inclined towards the judiciary, you will call it judicial activism. If you are inclined towards the executive, you will call it judicial overreach. It is subject to the interpretation. It is quite subjective also, right? Now, what are the various things? So we will have to ensure there is no conflict between judiciary and executive. There should be a balance of power, and we should be upholding the theory of balance of power in India. Also, we need robust lawmaking and governance system. We also need clarity, and implementation goal should be very clear. We should not be using the article 142 at the whims and fancies, right? We need to ensure judiciary is also accountable. We know it is one of the matter of debate. And what is the future of article 142, which is quite ambiguous? We'll have to clarify all these doubts. So in total, we'll have to say that the judicial overreach or activism is often a symptom of institutional imbalance. Instead of treating it as a standalone issue, India needs a collaborative strengthening of all 3 pillars of the democracy, that is the legislatures, executive and judiciary, while ensuring the checks and balances. Ultimately, a mature democratic culture with well defined roles and mutual respect among the organ of government is the best safeguard for such things. With this, I will conclude today's DNA. Kindly attempt the previous year question related to the same topic, that is the article 142 of the Indian Constitution has often been invoked to do the complete justice, but its expensive use has raised concern of judicial overreach. Critically examine the scope and limitation of article 142 in light of the principle of separation of power. So you will have to use what is article 142, what is the doctrine of separation of power, if Indian judiciary is basically an activist judiciary, and or if it is overreaching its space, and what should the way forward on it. We will have to discuss in your answer. That is all on today's GNA. Thank you.